See, total, what are the divisions in the central nervous system? Nervous system ka division. What are the two divisions? Central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Okay. Central nervous system composed of brain and
autonomic and subjacent.
okay, autonomous.
There
Okay,
is
anatomical. Brain and spinal cord. Okay, total in the total weight of the body, 1/5 of the body weight constitute brain. Okay, and the brain parts are cerebrum, brainstem. Just I am reading. Okay, just I am making you to remind that you have to read afterwards. Because in assessment part is more is there. I have to complete cranial nerve assessment, everything. So I won't get enough time. See, brain parts are cerebrum, the brainstem. Brainstem contains midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, and cerebellum. Okay, the total brain parts, major part is cerebrum. Cerebrum, it is a two half part, that is cerebral hemisphere, will say. And the next one is midbrain. Midbrain that contains brainstem parts, that includes pons and medulla oblongata, and next one is cerebellum. Okay, cerebellum. And average brain weight of the adult male is 1336 gram for adult, and that you read afterwards. See, next cerebrum. See, cerebrum is outer is which color? Outer is gray color and inner is white color. What's the reason for this outer gray color and inner white color? Anyone? Anybody? Already you have studied anatomy physiology in first year. This is not anatomy physiology class. Okay. Anybody can say brain. So brain ka outer is gray color and inner is white color. When you take this cross section, see here. See this one. Okay, gray color and inside. But at the same time, when you take the cross section of spinal cord, you can find the white outside and gray inside. What's the reason?
Because of presence of cell body.
Gray matter.
Okay, good. Who said cell bodies?
Swati.
Jagriti. Huh?
Swati.
Swati. Okay, good. Okay, Swati, good. See this gray color because of presence of cell bodies. Okay, in brain it is contained cell bodies are arranged in such a way, cell bodies, then axons. Understood? These axons are white color. Understood? Axons will be like, because of that grouping of axons, that shows a whitish color, and the cell bodies gives a gray color. And spinal cord, how it is? Spinal cord may like white color. That means that nerves, because spinal cord may nerves are plays an important role in transmitting signals. Okay, afferent and efferent, like stimulus-ly. So that is arranged in a axons, then cell body. Understood? So that white color is outer and cell body gray color is inside. Understood? And the cerebrum is divided into some lobes. Okay, 4 lobes: frontal lobe and parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. Okay, 4 lobes. Each lobe responsible for different activities for the human behavior, human activities. See, you must know the functions of these 4 lobes. Cerebrum function you must know. Then only when you study the stroke condition, like if the left side brain affected, means what are the symptoms the person will be exhibiting, or like right side affected means what are the symptoms. If the occipital lobe affected, what are the symptoms? So first you must know the functions of each lobe in the cerebrum. Okay, first one is, see, frontal lobe is responsible for our reasoning, planning, and some speech parts, movement, emotions, and problem solving. Okay, cognitive function. Okay, main thing. And parietal lobe is associated with movement, orientation, recognition, perception of stimuli. And occipital lobe is associated with visual processing. Temporal lobe for perception, recognition of auditory stimuli, memory, and speech. Okay. And next, brainstem, midbrain, pons, as I said earlier, these parts constitute brainstem. So this brainstem is like a stem, like a tree stem-like portion. It is connected to the long tube which is called spinal cord. Okay, spinal cord connected a brainstem. Okay, main important vital activities. Our body के vital life का control brainstem में है. Okay, that's why we'll say, you know, like when for if children also when they are playing, grandparents they used to advise like we should not like we should be very careful that back of the head should not hit on the floor, or back side should not get injury like that. Why? Because of that vital life functions are placed in the back side. That means like a brainstem, cerebellum, okay, along with that spinal cord. See, this breathing centers, heartbeat, blood pressure. Okay, these all the things are connected with the brainstem. Okay, medulla oblongata directly controls the breathing, blood flow, and other essential functions. See, next one, cerebellum. Cerebellum is just behind the pons, immediately below posterior portion of the cerebrum. Like behind the pons and that medulla oblongata, that behind side, posterior aspect, cerebellum is there. Cerebellum is mainly responsible for our body coordination activities. Okay, coordination, balance, equilibrium. Understood? Like a cerebellum problem, if it is there, or any injury occurs in the cerebellum, the patient can't able to stand properly, like unsteady gait, ataxia can occur, or like a balancing problem. Okay, balancing problem may arise, so that will be present. Okay, this one. Next is spinal cord. Spinal cord is continuous above with the medulla oblongata, and it is 45 centimeter thickness, and that same thing only, like a gray matter, white matter, and gray matter. White matter is outer covering that mainly for the receives the stimulus. Okay, sensory, and motor carries away the impulses. Okay, so both sensory and motor, and some nerves are both mixed. Mixed nerves are there. Some are only sensory nerves, and some are only motor nerves, and some nerves are act as a both mixed up. That means both sensory as well as the motor functions. See here, like more than 100 billion the nerve cells are there that we call the neurons. Okay, that is signaling cells. The main signaling cells are neurons. Understood? That present more than 100 billion. Apart from that, apart from these neurons, some supporting cells are there in the brain. Okay, supporting units that we called like glial cells, and among these glial cells also some specialized structures are there. Okay, specialized structure like specialized cells, like you can say oligodendrocytes, astrocytes, ependymal cells, and microglial cells. Okay, for other supporting cells which gives a proper steady support and provide the myelin formation, etc. Understand? Some cells are doing some special functions, like the example you can say ependymal cells. Okay, ependymal cells are plays an important role in formation of cerebrospinal fluid. Understood? In the brain, that ventricles are there, cavities, you know, so that ventricles are lined by ependymal cells. Okay, ependymal lining. So this ependymal lining only helps in the production of cerebrospinal fluid. Understood? And same way, another thing like microglial cells are there. Microglial cells are like a phagocytic activity. Okay, that prevent the other microorganism which enter into the brain cells. Okay, that act as a phagocytic or like a defensive. Understood? Microglial cells. And other cells like astrocytes. Okay, astrocytes cells, you can say that as a like a star shaped cells that along with the blood vessels, that picture is there, I will show you. See this neuron structure, as you all know very well, like a myelin sheath, axon and dendrites. This is cell body. Okay, and this is the axon terminals. These terminals are helps to make synaptic junctions. Okay, so this will be connected with another axon. So the another axon terminals, and this axon terminals will be forming synaptic clubs. Okay, synaptic junction will be forming. So these axon terminals are useful. Okay, so main four parts in the neuron are cell body, where the cell body, the nucleus, okay, it is present, and dendrites, there is a small short structure which arises from the cell body. Axon, it is a long tube like, okay, protein layer, okay, myelin sheath, and next one is axon terminals. Understood? Axon terminals. And see next, classification of neurons. Ka multipolar neurons are the bipolar neurons, unipolar neurons. Multipolar neurons helps in sensory path. Okay, it acts as a sensory nerves, neurons. Bipolar neurons are act as a motor neurons, and by unipolar neurons, interneurons. I told you interneurons means like both it like a motor pathway ke sensory pathway के बीच में. Okay, inter neurons, that neurons are interneurons, that neurons are placed located between the motor and sensory pathways के between में रहते, that will be called unipolar neurons or interneurons. See, these are the glial cells called neuroglia, and four types of glial cells. See, astrocyte, oligodendrocyte, ependymal cell, and microglial cells. See, ependymal cells structure and oligodendrocytes, and this is the astrocytes. See, these astrocytes are attached with the blood vessels. Okay, so these astrocytes form as a protective layer that we call the BBB, blood-brain barrier. Understood? Blood-brain barrier. It is a protective layer which formed by the astrocytes, which that astrocytes may like a leg, like that means it shape is little star shaped. Okay, star shaped, and the legs are little elongated, and that forms as a network like structure, and form like a along with the blood vessels that form as a tight one specific protective layer that we call the blood-brain barrier. Understood? So easily all the chemical contents should not attack the brain. Understood? Because brain is the vital organ, as you all know, and vital functions are maintained or controlled by the brain, and our whole body's like a standing or the coordination balance also maintained by the brain. So to avoid that, unnecessary toxic substances should not enter the brain. Understood? So blood-brain barrier, that is the natural protective layer which is present in the brain. Okay, but only thing, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and glucose, some medications like medications which act in the brain, like you can say barbiturates, that action is only that will act in the brain only, like sedation. Okay, such kind of chemicals will be transfused easily to the brain. Understood? Other toxic substances will not. Example I can say. See. Like what I can say, like the example I'll say bilirubin. Okay, bilirubin level, like if it is till 6-7, it will not cross the brain. Understood? Blood-brain barrier that will not cross. When it crosses, if the blood bilirubin level exceeds beyond some maximum level, then only that will cross the blood-brain barrier, that will enter into the brain and causes hepatic encephalopathy. Understood? Yes. So to prevent such toxic substances easily entering into the brain, this blood-brain barrier is situated. So this blood-brain barrier is formed by this supporting cells. Example, mainly astrocytes. See here that the explanation is here. Astrocytes, these cells form the main supporting tissues of the central nervous system, and this found in a larger number next to neurons. Neurons, I told you, that is the majority portion, like over 100 billion neurons are present, and beyond that astrocytes will be the major content. Okay, major amount which is present in the brain. And astrocytes, it is essential for the formation and maintenance of the blood-brain barrier. Okay, oligodendrocytes, these are supporting the myelin sheaths. Okay, myelin sheath ko supporting ke liye. Ependymal cells, I told you, mainly responsible for production of the CSF, and microglial cells, that is rapidly activated in response to injury. If any injury occurs, so that first mechanism which is stimulated is by these microglial cells. Okay. Next, as you all know, that the brain and spinal cord is covered by how many layers? 3 layers. Okay, that we called the covering of the brain and spinal cord, we say meninges. Okay, what is meninges? The layers which covering the brain and spinal cord we called as a meninges. Okay, meninges ka kitna layers are meninges? Dura mater, arachnoid matter, and pia mater. Understood? Pia mater is, what is the order of dura, arachnoid, and pia? What is the order? Tell me. Which is the innermost layer?
Pia mater.
Pia mater.
Pia
Okay.
mater.
Pia mater. Next to that, arachnoid matter, and outer layer is dura mater. Okay. So here, this leptomeninges, we say the arachnoid and pia mater. Okay, pia mater and arachnoid, that inner layer combined, we say that is a leptomeninges, and the space between the arachnoid and the pia mater, that is small space will be present between the arachnoid and see this blue color and this red small gap. Okay, this is called subarachnoid space. Subarachnoid space, that is the space between the arachnoid and the pia mater. Okay, subarachnoid space. So dura mater, mainly 3 layers: dura mater, arachnoid matter, and pia mater helps. Then ventricles, you know, ventricles are producing CSF. So CSF ka content you read. Okay. See, this is the blood-brain barrier structure. Okay, see, this is the blood vessels, capillary blood vessels, and these are the astrocyte ka food process. Food process means like one star, one like before I shown you like astrocytes ka structure, like a star shape, round, then legs like. Okay, see, this is one leg. This is one leg structure. This is another leg structure. Okay, so it forms like a food process. It prevent the entry of other toxic substances into the blood vessels. That is called a blood-brain barrier. Understood? See, what is blood-brain barrier? Blood-brain barrier is a selective barrier that protects the brain from potentially toxic substances and chemical variations in the blood.